Hello, it's Belinda and I am back with another process video for my Happy Scrappy Christmas in July project. I've been working on completing my 2018 December daily album. Today I'm here to share days 7 and 8 in that album. So I already knew that I was going to be including an insert in between days 7 and 8. Day 7 is a full page 6x8 photo of my children on Santa's lap, and day 8 is some photos of the fruit that I was preparing for my Christmas baking. So I've decided to create a full 8-inch high insert, and I believe I'm cutting these papers down to, I think it was close to 5 inches, and that was just to allow enough room for the holes to be punched. So what you've just seen is me holding up a page protector there against the side of the paper on the trimmer, just to see how much extra space I needed to allow when I was trimming off. I knew that I wanted the cards to be 4 inches wide because I'm going to be using this silk screen here that says eat, drink, be merry, and that's a 6x4 silk screen. So I knew I wanted the card to be 4 inches, and then when I've cut it down, I've just added a little bit extra to allow for the holes to be punched so that it sits in the album nicely. I'm going to make this into a very large shipping tag kind of insert. I had initially used my little corner chomper there, but the angles weren't quite deep enough. So I'm now getting out my ruler because I am very fussy about getting things perfect, and I'm really not great at eyeballing. So I'm just marking out a few pencil lines. I think I've done it at about maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch, and then I will rule across and then rule the diagonal and then use that as my lines to take my scissors and cut. Like I said, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, which does slow me down, but I'm not the kind of person that can just eyeball it and be happy with it. So you got to do what works for you. And then I've grabbed that red pattern paper that I've already trimmed down to size, and I'm just holding it up against the one that I've cut and using that as a template to snip the edges off that. Making sure that they're lined up and nice and even, and then I'm going to grab a couple of bulldog clips to hold them together and another ruler to mark out the spot in the center, which is where I'm going to punch the hole at the top of the shipping tag. And then to punch this hole, along with the holes that I end up punching for to be inserted into the album, I'm just using my 1/4 inch power punch, which I believe is from We Are Memory Keepers. It is always close at hand on my desk because I do use it quite a bit. And now I'm going to go and get ready to punch out those 6 holes there to have it sit in the album. And to do that, once again, I've pulled out that page protector. I'm just laying it over the top and I'm marking out the holes, the spaces for the holes. I do actually have a 6-hole punch, which I purchased, I think, last year. Honestly, I'd forgotten about it until I'd punched these holes out. The only problem that I have with that 6-hole punch is that the holes are a little bit smaller than 1/4 of an inch, and I found that even when I do use the 6-hole punch, I then go back and re-punch them with this 1/4 inch power punch anyway, just to have everything so that it moves a little bit better once it's in the album. With the smaller holes, it doesn't move as well. So because this is a brand new silk screen, I've learned my lesson the hard way on this one. They come very sticky. So I've now just popped that on my shirt while I went and picked out a paint color, and that just removes some of the adhesive from the back of that, and it prevents the silk screen from getting stuck down too hard on the paper. In the past, I've taken a brand new silk screen and put it down on the piece of paper and then ended up tearing the paper when I was trying to get it off, and it was a big mess. So I popped that onto my shirt, which is just enough to remove some of the adhesive so that it sticks down but doesn't stick too hard. And I'm using a nice red, which I believe is an Ali Edwards, and the color is Pendleton. and an old loyalty card just to spread it across, making sure that I'm getting it nice and evenly spread across those words there. I have gone off the side a little bit there to the left, which once I've pulled this silk screen off, you'll see me try to tidy it up a little bit with a baby wipe, but it doesn't work. It just ends up making it look worse. So what I will do off camera, which you'll see once the card's dried and completed, is I'm going to do a little bit more silk screening with a smaller star silk screen, just to cover up that little red paint splotch that I end up smudging with my baby wipe right here. And my number for the day is a chipboard, a white chipboard number 7, which is from a leftover from a kit from a few years ago. And I'm just using that same red Pendleton paint to paint the top of it, to paint it red. Sorry about the back of my head there. Just making sure I'm getting a nice even covering so that it's not patchy. And then that is going to match that tag perfectly. Now, I realized once I had finished off the 2 shipping tags that I had punched the holes on the wrong side on that Eat, Drink and Be Merry tag. The journaling was supposed to be on the left side and the Eat, Drink, Be Merry was supposed to be on the opposite side. I thought about redoing it, but in the end, it's fine. I'll just make it work. So the Eat, Drink and Be Merry was supposed to be opposite the day 8 photos of the fruit, and this journaling that I've typed out on my typewriter was supposed to be opposite the Santa photo of my kids. But that's okay. It's flipped around. It doesn't really matter. It's not a big deal. When you're going through the album, you'll still see it all in the same place. So like I said, I've typed out my journaling onto some white cardstock, stuck it onto that red candy stripe patterned paper, and then run it through my sewing machine with some red cotton. I have this really cute little felt reindeer embellishment that I picked up last year, so I'm popping that on, and then some silver glitter letters that say Santa. And now I'm going to dig through my little jar of glitter stars to pick out some silver glitter stars to go onto that Eat, Drink, Be Merry side of the tag. You can also see now where I've added the extra star silk screen onto that tag, just to cover up some of the mess that I made from the first silk screen. And then grabbing some wet glue to stick all those stars down. That's the 2 tags finished. So all that's left now is for me to adhere them back to each other, which I don't make you watch me do this. One of the tags was slightly longer than the other, so I've just grabbed my scissors to trim that little bit off the bottom. I couldn't put it into my trimmer because of that dimensional embellishment there. And then to finish off this tag, I'm going to grab some of this plain white rickrack trim, and I'm going to pop that through the hole and tie it off. This rickrack's a little bit harder to thread through. I said the same thing in my previous video. Because of the ridges on the edge of the trim, it's harder to sort of maneuver it around. So I fiddle around with it a little bit because I don't want to pull it too hard and end up ripping the tag. But I do want to just get it sitting the right way there and nice and tight so it's not going to move around. And then once I've stuck those tags back together, I've noticed that some of the holes are slightly off center. So I'm pulling out that power punch again, and I'm just going to go and repunch the holes on the tag because, as I said earlier in the video, I am a bit of a perfectionist, so things like that bother me in my finished album. Okay, that tag's all finished now, ready to go into the album, so I'm moving on to my 6x8 photo. I had some leftover chipboard starbursts from an old Ali Edwards story kit, and I've used some silver glitter heat embossing powder, and I've just embossed all of those and added them into my little stash. I'm going to use some red line tape to adhere that down to the photo, and then a little bit more red line tape onto the back of this chipboard number 7, which will go straight on top of the starburst, and that will be day 7 done. So next we'll be moving on to day 8. Day 8, as you've already seen, I had a few photos of the fruit that I've soaked in alcohol for my Christmas baking as my day 8 story. So I've gone off and typed up my journaling onto this Holiday Traditions 6x8 card, and I'm creating yet another flip up. You've probably noticed by now, if you've been watching my videos, flip ups are a little bit of a favourite of mine when it comes to my December daily albums. Usually because I'm trying to squeeze so many photos in and I want to get the stories as well. So also I find that in my December daily album, I really do like the interactive element. So I do include a lot of stuff outside the page and the flip ups as well. So I've got this white number 8 sticker, which is going to be my day, and I have stuck that down on top of the chipboard, but you'll see a little bit later that I go back and just add some some wet glue to the back of it, because it doesn't actually stick very well onto that heat embossed chipboard. So here I am spacing out my cards again, my card and my photo, and this time I'm grabbing some silver star washi tape to join the photos and the cards together. I don't know how old this washi is, but it's kind of weird. One half of it is sticky and the other half of it seems to have no adhesive on it. So I stuck it on just to see how it would go. And then I noticed that, one side of it was just lifting up because it had no adhesive on it. So once I've made this little flip and trimmed it off, I am going to go back with this really thin double-sided tape, and I'm just going to put that underneath the one side of the washi that is lifting up, just to help to stick it down a little bit better. It wasn't quite so bad on this side, but I knew it was going to lift up and it wasn't going to last, so just adding this in to make sure that it stays stuck down for as long as somebody wants to look at my album. Trimming off the ends, and that's the flip up done. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of embellishing. I'm just having a look through my goodies to the right of me, and I've picked out this Ellie's Studio word phrase stickers and another one of those embossed chipboard starbursts. Initially I was going to put the starburst on the bottom of that Holiday Traditions card, but I do end up moving it down to the middle of that photo. So I've grabbed a little phrase sticker, and that says sweet treats and good eats. Perfect for this story. And then another little sticker which says yum, which will go onto this chipboard starburst. Some red line tape just to make sure that it is stuck down, and my ruler just to make sure that I'm getting it into the center of that photo. Now, I don't think I've actually added any wet glue to the back of this yum, but those stickers had quite a lot of adhesive to the back of them, so it seemed okay. And also this one's going inside the pocket, so I'm not quite so concerned about it coming off and coming loose and disappearing. And this is where I'm going to grab my fine line glue bottle and just put a little bit of wet glue onto the back of that number 8 and stick it back down onto the chipboard starburst just to make sure that it's stuck in place really well. And with that stuck down, that's day 8 finished. So on the back of day 8, I knew that I would be adding some filler cards. So I'm just going ahead now and creating a transparent element on this in this top 4x6 pocket. I've got some patterned acetate and I've just grabbed some of the fabric star embellishments that I had made, and I'm adding a small staple to the center of each of those stars, and then I'm adhering them back to back onto the acetate. That's just so that when you're flipping through the page, whether you're looking at the front or the back, you're seeing the front of a star and not the back of one. So that is it for my day 7 and 8 process video. If you stick around, I do have a couple of close-up photos coming up. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I would love for you to give me a thumbs up if you have. Please feel free to go ahead and subscribe. I do have a few more Scrappy Christmas in July videos coming up before the end of the month. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.